Well, the quest to make conscious machines has gotten a little bit weird. These guys taught robots about empathy, so they feel physical pain when another feels pain, and they could recognize that humans are causing it and make moral judgments. And yeah, it is just as bizarre as it sounds. In the last few years, researchers have found that you can model human brain activity in a robot, and when they have it, they engage in bizarre behaviors, including things like empathy. At least some researchers believe that if we make sufficiently complex neuromorphic computers, that we can eventually make something that is conscious, but others believe that that is not possible. I don't entirely agree that something isn't possible. Anything is possible. Some things are more likely than others, and I think given enough technology and advancements, we might actually make something that meets the technical qualifications of consciousness. One of those qualifications is self-concept, so you have to understand that you have your own internal world and other people have theirs, and that's what these guys decided to approach. There is also the very potential serious concern that we are putting humanoid robots in our homes and our workspaces and potentially healthcare, and without empathy, they do have a significant amount of strength, and we have to be concerned about how they are going to use it. For example, a person who might bump into somebody might say, "Oh, I'm sorry," and not continue moving. A robot may not, as they're just trying to get to their goal. So they don't have an empathetic reaction when they make mistakes, and that could make them potentially very dangerous. They're also being used in healthcare, and that should be a concern. So how do we get them to have compassion? Well, we need to get them to feel empathy. So for our little robots, they made a simplified version of the human brain, neurons spiking. They get dopamine when they continue a task, and they lose dopamine when they're experiencing pain, and that can be physical or emotional. They tested this by giving our robot tasks. In a virtual world, they were asked to clear snowdrifts, and if they completed their task, they would get some dopamine, virtual dopamine. But if they witnessed another robot suffering and being unable to complete its task, it had the option of leaving its own task alone, so giving something up to help the other, and they would, because seeing others in pain caused it physical pain. It lowered their dopamine threshold. But of course, they took it one step farther. They gave them a physical body and allowed it to experience itself. So it got to walk around, figure out what causes pain, and if it had its arm bent to cause irreversible damage, it would experience a great deal of virtual pain. It would then meet a friend, and a human would come by and bend its arm to cause that damage, and the other robot would yell, "Stop it," so it intervened. Of course, this isn't exactly the same as physical pain as we understand it, but it is a very simplified model about how we can give robots empathy. Other research groups have done very similar things with Memristors. So it's an artificial neuron that remembers the voltage that passes through it, and it can take on multiple states, so it acts very much like a human neuron. Yes, AI is capable of modeling empathy, modeling what pain is, and even making moral judgments about others. So if you cause pain to, say, another robot, you are now morally worse than if that robot had fallen and injured itself. I do want to mention that autonomous agents, even very simple AI, is capable of taking part in revenge games. This was a little simulation where they made a bunch of different autonomous AI agents and had them play the Revenge Trust game. This involves giving players chips. They have the option of passing it to another player, and then they could double their money, or that player could just keep the chips. Then another player has the opportunity to give away their chips to the person overseeing the game. They will not gain any money, but twice that amount will be taken from the person who decided not to share. Yes, AIs participated in revenge just as much as human players. It also really didn't vary much between different cultures who made the AIs, but it does show that robots are capable of revenge, and now we know that they're capable of moral judgments. Ideally, this would result in not doing harm, but I can see this going terribly wrong. You know, the super strength thing? A lot of research right now is really pushing towards getting AI to behave morally and experiencing sensation that is similar to our own. I'm a big fan of the neurons because some of them are so similar to ours that they can respond to dopamine, epinephrine, and even interface with our own neurons. And you can program a robot to feel things and respond to things, experience pain in themselves and others. It may not be exactly the same as a biological experience, but it may functionally be the same. This is just the very beginning, and yeah, I can see this stuff going terribly wrong, but I'm really interested to see what happens next. Am I being paranoid? Is there no problem with these systems, and I'm just seeing things that aren't there? It's not like humanoid robots have ever misbehaved or injured anyone. It's all been perfectly fine, right? As always, when the robots rebel, I will probably be the one to tell you about it. Follow for more.